Hey, it is Free Talk Live. You may join us here. The toll-free number, if you want to, is 855-450-FREE. We'll talk to you about whatever is on your mind. That's 855-450-3733. We also have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms open and available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. As I say, live Sunday show, and also want to take a moment to welcome a new affiliate. But first, in the studio with you tonight, it's Ian,
Richie Rich,
and Mark.
So we are finally back on in Vermont. It's been a number of years. We used to be on in Vermont a while back. We've been on in Brattleboro. We've been on in Barrie. And we, over time.
Didn't we have a Rutland station at one point?
I don't think so.
I think we did.
Well, welcome to News Talk WVMT AM 620 out of Burlington, Vermont. So we're now in the capital.
That's a big
big
one.
time.
Yeah, this is a big station.
That is not the capital of Vermont.
No?
You idiot.
Okay.
It's
What is the capital?
Montpelier.
Oh, okay.
Don't you remember that commercial from, was it the late 80s, early 90s?
I'm sorry,
No?
Vermonters.
It's the only reason I know the answer to that.
And we live right next door. I live next door in New Hampshire, and I don't even know the capital.
I don't think there's any obligation to the capital of a state. It's not, hopefully that is extraneous information.
Yeah.
But Burlington is the
it's a city. It's the known.
Yeah, the metro of the place.
It's
it's a big deal.
Vermont city.
It's a city for Vermont, right? The population's probably less than 15 or 20,000. I don't think there's a whole lot of people up in.
I don't know how many people. It probably changes dramatically summer to winter. I'll tell you that much. But
yeah.
I mean, it's a city compared to the Northeast Kingdom.
Wasn't Bernie the mayor in Burlington?
I believe so.
At some point, like in his early political career.
Yes,
Burlington, Vermont. 42,000.
So much fun. Wow.
That's much larger than I thought it was.
Yeah, when I was there, it was bustling. I thought it was nice size.
Yeah, that's big, and it's up north too.
The hippies were on the street busking for handouts.
That's lovely.
Well, it's nice to walk by. I'd hate to live there. But then again, I live in the country. I'm more of so not as country as the Northeast Kingdom, though.
They got a big signal, though. They cover actually all of Plattsburgh, New York, and even cut into Canada.
Well, are you kidding? It makes it all the way across the lake?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a 6:20 a.m., so it's real low on the dial. So 5,000 watts goes pretty far.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
And also, we're on FM there because they've got an FM translator at 96.3 in Colchester. So welcome aboard to all of our new listeners there in Burlington. You guys are listening live in Burlington, so you're welcome to pick up your phone, dial in, bring up whatever you want to discuss. On the way here tonight, another ridiculous ban is possibly going to be happening in California. Richie Rich is with us. You've got that story from
little shampoo and conditioner bottles.
Yeah. We'll get into it. But first, Mark, you've got a story about education. Higher education. Academia.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation going on about healthcare and education right now. With the
there's the scandal in the colleges. That's been getting a lot of news.
Yep, that's a big deal. But the Democrats are coming to the field, and many of them are basically saying, we're going to give you higher education for free. We're going to give you healthcare for free. Oh, yeah, and we're going to fix global warming. And all those things sound wonderful, except they don't know how to do it. They're going to do it.
You just pay for it.
Yeah, it's just pay.
You just pay for it.
The magic government paying machine.
When you have an expense, you just pay for it.
Well, I mean, taxes will obviously have to go up, but look at Denmark. They're happy as they could possibly be over there. It says right here, see a piece of paper, it says a happiness index. Sure, maybe the people in Denmark are taught to say, you better say you're happy or you're a bad person. I mean, or whatever, but it says they're happy. See, happy. Why aren't you happy for paying for other people's? Don't you want a smart America? Well, this isn't how you get it, ladies and gentlemen. There was a time, as you and I were talking about just before we got on the air, there was a time when identifying when you had a high school diploma, you were a big deal in town.
Yep.
Really?
Well, yeah. Well, if it's a joke, but the Beverly Hillbillies were very proud that Jethro had a 6th grade education.
Oh, okay.
He was good at figuring and ciphering. Ciphering was the term.
My grandpa does not have a high school diploma.
And he made it through his whole life?
He made it through his whole life, yeah. His was more, if I remember his stories correctly, dropped out to take care of the family. I think it might have been like 6th grade as well.
Okay.
Because we're from Hawaii, and it was like the bombing of Pearl Harbor that kind of threw things in disarray.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that'll do it.
There's nothing I'm not here to trumpet not having a high school diploma nor having a high school diploma. What I would say is having a high school diploma is basically inconsequential to life.
That's true.
If I was to go back and do it all over again, I likely would continue to get the high school diploma, because what else do you do from 16 to 18?
Get a job.
Well, it's probably a good idea, but I had a job.
Yeah.
And you can kind of arrange your day so that you leave a little early or something like that. But, if you get a job, how are you going to meet the girls? And high school's good for that.
That's true.
And it also has some extracurricular activities. There's a computer club. There's cross country. There's a whole bunch of things that you could do. And, I'm not saying high school's a bad idea. I'm just saying nobody it just
doesn't matter.
Right. It's inconsequential. Nobody says, hey, I've got a high school diploma. Time to hire me.
Whoopee.
I will also say that it's not for everybody, because I had
high school?
Yes.
I agree.
I had a younger friend who was, struggling in school, was getting picked on in school, didn't like being there. And when he met me, I went, well, just drop out. He goes, well, I can't just drop out. I go, well, sure you can.
What will people think?
What will people think? Like, how will I get the job? And I will just lie on the application. Like, seriously, the jobs that are going to
no one ever checks.
No, because that's exactly right.
How
because
could they?
No one ever checks.
Who do you even call up? The school board?
I don't know how you check to see whether somebody has a high school diploma. I'm sure that some investigative reporter could pull it off.
Yeah.
Maybe for an advanced, a job that requires an advanced degree, but the kind of jobs that hire people like high school students of high school student age out of high school don't check that.
No.
So I was like, just lie for now, right, until it becomes important. And that's what he did. He had, a bunch of different jobs at that age, going through that, 16 to 18 part of life without having it. He eventually went back and got his GED when that was important to him to go on and go to trade school and do something else with his life. But high school, he was much better off, not going to school and getting picked on all the time.
Did he take any of the classes for the GED?
I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Because I took the GED. I took both the GED and graduated high school. It's kind of an odd story. But when I was dealing with the state, I had an opportunity to benefit by taking a GED. So I just pretended like I didn't have a high school diploma, and I took the GED, and then I got the benefit that I was looking for. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about me taking I was the highest in this particular organization's history of taking this exam. I didn't study a whit, but that doesn't mean that everybody could do it. It just means that I didn't have to do it. Some people will have to study for the GED, others will not.
Well, and he was not a dumb guy either, right? Like he was getting
picked on.
That too, but when he got focused on a subject, he really focused on the subject. So for one part of the time that I knew him, he really wanted to study like Russian language and the Cyrillic alphabet, and he immersed himself in that and got good at it for whatever that's worth, and then moved on to something else.
Or something.
Maybe, or just for the idea of doing it. But even one of our other close friends used to get on all the time for being, a lazy slacker who couldn't focus and do all this. Like, dude, not everyone goes to the same path as you. I mean, the reason you're better than us, was because he joined the National Guard. Mm-hmm. Right, so he had the guaranteed state income coming in while he was going to school and doing all that and his regular job. It's just not for everybody.
My concern with giving everybody a free bachelor's degree is that some people that basically a bachelor's degree will be meaningless.
Right. Yeah.
At this point, it isn't particularly meaningful to have a bachelor's degree. It just in so much as it's just a bachelor's degree. Yes, if you've gone to engineering school for 5 years and you get the engineering version of a bachelor's, that one will fly. If you get some kind of computer science bachelor's, it'll probably get you a starting point. If you've you've got to get a bachelor's to go get your JD as a lawyer. You have to have a bachelor's in order to go to medical school. I presume you have to have both of those.
Art history, I'm gonna say not so much though.
Well, art history is only going to prepare you to be a professor, and at this point, professors are being treated very poorly from a financial standpoint. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not much of a career these days.
All right, we got more coming up. Plenty of time for you. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Join us here on the radio. Our number is 855-450-FREE. like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. With you tonight, it's Ian,
Richie Rich,
and Mark.
To your phone calls and thoughts, and then Mark, you got the story about schools and what?
Well, it's that the
loans?
Confidence in higher education is waning.
Okay, we'll get into it. And your calls and thoughts first, though. Let's go to Howell, listening in Virginia to WNIS. Go ahead, Howell.
Hi.
Hi there.
I'm calling about the legal system that we have in our country.
Yeah,
Okay.
What a mess.
It is. The articles are all saying that there's overcrowding, they're spending too much money, but yet the laws are antiquated when it comes to Internet use. They're antiquated when it comes to...
You mean, hold on, when you
use.
say that, you mean as far as the courts' use of Internet, like they're way behind the times?
I'm talking about people that are looking at pornography and things on the Internet, on the dark web, that are supposed to be illegal, but yet they don't shut down those sites. They rather take these people that are looking at that stuff, and then they arrest them, and then they give restitution to the victims. All that money goes to the lawyers.
is there a specific kind of pornography that you object to? Because most of it is not illegal.
And most of it's not on the dark web.
Yeah.
Well, the kind that's illegal is the child pornography.
Okay.
So wait a minute. I'm sorry. I thought you wanted to talk about the legal system, meaning the courts. You're talking about you don't feel like the law enforcement is doing a good enough job cracking down on the dark web?
I feel as if the dark web should be shut down.
Well, they can't do
but
that.
They're not. But they're not. No, they're not going to shut it down
They can't.
because they're making too much money off of it.
Who?
The lawyers.
That's a stretch.
I don't know about that.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Well,
maybe that's
no,
the reason, but it doesn't seem likely.
I mean, most of the people on the dark web haven't been busted, so it's not like there's a myriad of court cases out there. I mean, there's some people that have, some of the drug dealers, for instance.
They're becoming more and more common.
Let me explain something before we go on, Howell. I mean, just so you can have, I guess, some understanding of the dark web and why. And that's, it's a scary name for Tor, the onion router. Right. It's an online anonymizing system that was actually developed, as I understand
Navy,
it,
right?
by the government. Yeah, the Navy, I think, or DARPA or something like that. Anyway, the idea is you connect to these servers and these Tor nodes.
These underground dark servers.
It's called the onion router because there's like layers, like an onion. You peel back a layer and then there's another layer, and so to speak. And so that sort of protects. I'm not an engineer, so I can't explain to you exactly how it works. But basically, these different hops and jumps between these sort of anonymized servers essentially obscure the traffic enough to where, unless the government's controlling the hops, unless the government has all the servers in between the user and the ultimate dark web site, then there won't be purportedly any way to track it, although they've cooked up certain things, like they had some sort of a piece of software on the porn site that they were running. They were running a child porn site, the FBI, and they put some kind of software on that site that infected like 1,000 computers around the world. And they did go after some of those people, and they did shut that site down. So I don't know if you're right in that they aren't shutting the sites down. Almost every time, they shut the site down, the only thing was they continued running some of the child porn sites, at least one of them, and I think maybe even more than one, for some amount of time, basically making the FBI the largest distributor of child porn on the planet.
Well, and the dark web and the black market is kind of like a hydra anyway.
What they did, I mean, the people like Cox and Verizon have warrants for these IPOs.
IP addresses, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the people using them don't know that they're being watched until they get the knock on the door.
Right.
But that's one of my facets. The other facet is our drug laws. They're just, to me, just go ahead and legalize all drugs. And
amen to
we
that.
agree completely. That's
Okay.
The war on drugs is a war on our neighbors. It's a war on our family members, our friends, our coworkers. It's a war against people, and
it's a war against people that want to make their own decisions. I mean, I'm not for drug use, but if you're going to use drugs, then let them use it, and then if they realize they have a problem with them, let them get help.
Absolutely, sure.
And then don't put them in jail. Don't incarcerate them.
Well, that's part of the overcrowding that I thought you were initially talking about.
Yeah, I can't.
It is part of it.
It's a huge part
and
of
I
it.
think then we're beginning to realize this through this new legislature that our president has initiated. And finally, I guess some attention is. But the other thing is these crimes that are not. I call them victimless crimes where no one is hurt. These people that commit those so-called crimes or those so-called acts should not be incarcerated. They should be
left alone.
There should be.
Did you always? I'm just curious how.
No, not left alone. If it's something that's harming someone, not physically, but say someone is taking fraudulent money usually from the government, then they should pay the money back.
Okay.
But put them in jail? No, how are they going to pay the money back?
Yeah, how are they going to pay the money back?
I like a lot of what she's saying.
To me, jail is at this point in our nation's history, essentially courts only have the option of jail. You've either got
there's alternative sentencing programs.
There are, but they're just not using them very much.
Weird,
the vast majority of people are going off into this apparatus.
Dave Ridley called the other night to say that there's been some alternative sentencing programs that have been very successful
New Hampshire isn't America.
Here. Okay. Well, you said they're not using them, and I'm telling you, some of them are.
They're not using them as a percentage very often.
Okay.
The vast majority of people sentenced are just sentenced to jail. And jails.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, unless you've seen some statistics on that, I don't know if that's
if you
true.
get sentenced to a fine and then don't pay the fine, and then you go to jail for VOP, you might as well have been sentenced to jail. Does it really make a difference?
I'm not saying there aren't a bunch of people going to jail for stupid crap. I mean, that's what
we are
Hell's
the most
pointing
incarcerated nation
out.
on the planet with
exactly.
5 times.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was another one of my points. That in our country, and if you look at the majority of the people that are in prison or in jail, then it's not
staggering.
right.
And also, if you include the people who have been to jail, if you include people that have a record, it's a large number of
It's
the
larger
population.
than several states.
Thank you for the call, Howell. I appreciate your thoughts.
About the bottom fifth of states. It's larger. The number's larger than that.
The bottom fifth combined?
Yeah. The amount of Americans that have been incarcerated, are incarcerated, or have been incarcerated
in their lifetime,
is about the population of New Hampshire.
Nation of criminals.
It's crazy.
All of them.
Well, it's true. And so if you want to comment, you're welcome to. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Basically, she's saying end victimless crimes. I mean, I can't agree more. Yeah, so 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Though I would say running a server on the internet is also a victimless crime, regardless of what people are using that server for. So whether it's the dark web drug markets or whatever, people posting prostitution ads on Craigslist, those are also victimless crimes. 855-450-FREE, like freedom.
Bitcoin.com wants you to know about SaveItPurse.com. Since launching in 2014, over 200,000 users have saved an average of 15% for a combined $4 million using Bitcoin, or BTC. And now you can use Bitcoin Cash, BCH, to fund your account. You can save between 5 to 33% on things you're going to buy anyway when you shop using SaveItPurse.com. Add items to your cart, fund your account, select your discount, and save. SaveItPurse.com. SaveATPurse.com.
It's Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free to join us on the radio. The number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Hop into one of those. You'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. Ian, Richie, and Mark here. We've got Bitcoin.com to tell you about. There's a lot on Bitcoin.com. They can help you choose a Bitcoin Cash wallet, buy Bitcoin Cash and show you where you can spend your Bitcoin Cash. You can also read the latest news or engage with the community on the Bitcoin forum over at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com. As we continue here, we're going to Bad Slave. He's on the line on our Discord call-in line rooms. Go ahead, Bad Slave.
Congressman.
Sounds like you're playing some audio in the background, so we're just going to turn that down. I guess he got busy doing something. It's nice if you keep whatever stuff down in the background while we're waiting to talk to you. So hopefully we'll try him again a little bit later on. 855-450 free mark. What's the story you wanted to talk about? People losing faith in the higher education system?
Yeah, so I'll go here from zerohedge.com. And look, Zero Hedge isn't known for bringing good news. They're what we call in the financial realm perma-bears. But I think that they got some great points here, and this is reporting on a Gallup poll. So you determine. Gallup polls don't lend themselves to just reading. You basically have to get an article for it. So confidence in higher education in the United States has dropped significantly since 2015, according to the polling company Gallup, which notes that it's the worst performing institution they measure. The crisis in confidence coincides with a similar decline in the public's view of that higher education is affordable and available to those that need it. According to the report, suggesting that affordability and access are linked to the faith people have in the institutions of higher learning.
Well, they definitely don't seem to be affordable. I don't know anybody who thinks that a college education is in any way affordable.
Not at all.
Right. So reading here, confidence in higher education declining. U.S. adults, which usually means 18 plus, in 2015, 57% of Americans had confidence in higher education. I was way out by then.
2015, you said?
2015.
57%. Okay.
2018, 48%. So you see a drop of 9%. Drop.
Yeah.
Right. So I also believe that you saw a large drop probably in the 20 years preceding. If you had seen the numbers for
they don't go back further. They just
2005. No, it's just these two. Okay. Gallup's comparing here. 2005, 95. In 1995, I had a lot of faith in higher education. You want a good job, you're going to have to get a college degree.
Yep.
In 2005, I did not have that faith. I had come to the conclusion that college was certainly not for me and probably not particularly necessary to run a successful business and those kind of things. And many people would – we had a guy the last time we talked about this call in, and he's like, you got to have college because you have to have these other people looking at these other points of view and stuff, right? Like at this point, the people who push college have been beaten back into essentially the corner where they have to say silly things like, without a liberal arts degree, America would be ruined. And hey, you can look at all these – everything that you can get, all the information you can get in a liberal arts degree, for a bachelor's liberal arts degree, you can get that information on the internet.
For free in a lot of cases.
Yeah. Well, even MIT posts all their course material online.
Right.
Yeah.
You just don't get the degree.
You just don't get the degree. You can get all the information, all the knowledge, all the wisdom that they have to offer for free.
I'd be willing to bet that I, a 48-year-old male who's, just done the things that I've done in my life, could CLEP, and that means to take an exam in order to get the college credit as opposed to taking the course.
Sure.
A liberal arts degree. I just don't think there's that much in a liberal arts degree that I would need. I don't know.
Do you pay them
already.
for that? Do you pay less to CLEP? Like, how do you do that? I've never heard of this.
It depends on the university. There's ways to certainly cut down on the cost of getting a degree.
You can just walk in and say, I don't want to take this class. I want to take the test for this class. What are you going to charge me?
Yeah,
basically.
Pretty much.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And different universities have different rules. There's a university out there, and I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, where essentially you just take a test as to the cost of the class. If you wanted to get your whole degree in one semester at this university, and you had the knowledge base to do it, you could. You could just take all these
tests.
classes, whoop, and then you're done. And they're happy to give you a degree. What's that?
I said that would be good for one of those like savant children.
Yeah, well, somebody.
Or a high school graduate. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I went to when I went to community college was like high school level stuff. I even had the same science textbook that I had one of the years in high school. So it was literally the exact same course.
Yeah.
That I just paid to take.
Right.
I think a lot of the lack of confidence overall has to do with like return on investment as well. Right. One of the things, as colleges get more expensive, you expect a greater return or a better paying job upon exit than you would if you just had gotten, a high school diploma.
But there's no evidence you'll get anything greater.
And there is no evidence of that anymore, at least
the
anymore.
evidence is building, right? And people are like, wow, I have graduated college that cost me $20,000 a year for 4 years. I now have $80,000 in debt.
Yep.
And my degree, I mean, I think you're the best example I know, Richie Rich.
Thank you.
You're sitting on an MBA.
I am.
And you manage a self-storage business, right? A unit.
Yeah, I'm just the manager. I don't even own the business or
No.
the facility. I just manage that one particular unit for the business owner.
Right. And I mean, you've been sold an MBA as an MBA. I'm not trying to make fun of what's going on here or anything. I think
what's it stand for? Business administration?
I have a Master's of Business Administration.
Okay.
Right. So an MBA is running a self-storage rental place.
Well, I'd rather have an MBA running my self-storage rental place than some schmuck, right?
Right. Sure. And you know what you'd really rather have? An MBA that paid for his own degree. Because in this case, the business should pay for your training.
If it's valuable to them.
If it is, if it's valuable to them, they absolutely should.
Some
the problem
businesses
is that what we're doing as a nation, and everybody wants to talk about the we in the world. Okay, fine. Let's talk about the we in the world. We are destroying a generation, and we're working really hard to destroy another. We just paid off. My wife and I just paid off her college debt last year.
She's in her 40s.
She just turned 50.
Oh, my.
Well, congratulations for getting it paid off, because that's a feat in and of itself.
Well, the thing is that hers didn't cost that much.
Okay.
She went just at the beginning of this whole boom in college cost. The people that are carrying this debt.
When did she go? Late 90s?
I presume.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, what do I care? I met her with a degree, and I married her knowing I'm going to have to pay the debt. Like, I'm the guy who took the GED in prison had to pay off her debt for her.
Well,
useless, stinking degrees that we're saddling young people with.
What was her degree for?
It was, I think, substance abuse.
Well, she was a social counselor or something, right? For some time.
Right. In her case, look, Ian, sitting next to you is a man with an MBA that is cleaning a bank in his spare time, okay? Let's not talk about my wife's degree. Let's talk about his.
I also used to work at a gas
station. How much debt you got,
station.
Richie Ray? Rich?
Oh,
Rich,
man.
Rich?
I couldn't even tell you what the
6 figures?
No, not 6 figures.
High fives?
Probably mid fives.
Okay.
If I had to take a guess, because I don't pay it, I don't look at the statements.
Right. He's just not paying it, which means that his credit's destroyed.
Maybe I ran cash only for a long time, and I don't co-sign anything for various reasons. So I don't really pay attention to that stuff either.
Right. You just have to operate as a person who has bad credit because you can't go bankrupt and get rid of this stuff.
I was surprised when I got a credit card, and I was like, oh, really? They're going to give me credit again? Like, sweet.
Yeah, right.
I'll take it.
I'm glad that, the thing is that credit reporting agencies are having to come to the conclusion that these kids are not going to be able to pay this stuff off. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. America, you got to stop encouraging young people to go to college. Unless it's for like doctor, engineer, lawyer. There's probably a small handful of careers out there, and I don't want to leave one of them out, but those are the ones that come to mind off the top of my head that should go, but the rest shouldn't.
855-450-FREE. If you want to comment, whether you're inside or outside of the education system, you may have an opinion on this. It's Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free to bring up what you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms at discord.lrn.fm. Hop into one of those. We'll get you on the air You'll sound almost like you're in the studio with us. It's Ian,
Richie Rich,
and Mark.
Thank you to Edwardian, who is a Free Talk Live Silver Amplifier. That means that Edwardian is giving $5 a month to Free Talk Live's AMP program. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. If you like what we do here on Free Talk Live, which is to say talk about the ideas of freedom and peace and cryptocurrency 7 nights a week, live on broadcast radio, also on the internet in live audio form, also in video form on Twitch and DLive, and still on YouTube as well. If you appreciate the fact that we're here doing all of that for freedom, then please sign up for the AMP program like Edwardian did. Go to amp.freetalklive.com, ampamp.freetalklive.com, and you can sign up with PayPal, credit card, or Bitcoin BTC. It's amp.freetalklive.com. And yes, you get some cool perks, and it helps us get on more radio stations like WVMT there in Vermont and Burlington that came on. Officially, they came on last week, but I always like to give a week to make sure everything's working smoothly, and then we welcome our new listeners. So welcome aboard if you're new to the show, whether you're watching us online. Again, we're brand new on the DLive platform at dlive.lrn.fm, although we are currently still relegated to the mature category. Hopefully we'll get out from the mature dungeon here. Earlier today, the DLive thing went pretty big time. They survived their stress test because the PewDiePie, the number one YouTube channel in the world, they managed to poach him for his live streams. And
that was impressive.
It is, and that's why we came on. Like, whoop, they got PewDiePie. Well, we should probably be there too. And so we came on several days ago, and it's been a pretty good experience so far, except somebody seems to have tagged
the early adopter package.
Yeah, somebody seems to have tagged our streams as mature, and we can't untag them. We can't turn it off.
Why is that a negative? What shouldn't be a mature stream be like a higher class stream? Like this is mature content.
Yeah, the problem is it keeps you off the front page.
I know.
So that's the negative. The goal is to reach people. And
when we were on the front page, we were getting a couple hundred people viewing the stream.
No, we never had that many.
We had 200.
No.
I guess the implication is that the rest of it's the immature stream.
No, maybe we had like 20 to 30 or something like that. 40. I think we peaked at 40 at one point.
Okay.
But no, we have 200 followers, Mark. So that means 200 people have hit the follow button on us. But simultaneously, we've had 30 or 40. But now it's like 5 to 15 because we're no longer on the front page. And it's such a small site that even a smaller stream like us can get more attention if we're on the front page. So we'll see if we can work things out with them. They haven't gotten back to me yet. But you can still follow us there over at dlive.lrn.fm. We did hit the goal of 200 followers. But they say that you ought to be streaming for a month straight before you apply for their partner status. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time. So thank you to everybody who's followed us.
We have been streaming for more than a month straight.
Not on DLive.
Oh, I see.
So toll-free number here tonight if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. Let's go to the phones to your calls and thoughts. We got Barry in South Carolina. Barry, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Gentlemen,
hey.
How's everybody?
Just
tonight?
Good. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Good. You were talking about education, and I can only relate to my own experience. I don't know how other people, experience their life. I'm probably a little bit older than you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I won't throw out my real age there, right now, but at the time I came of age, a high school diploma would take you into many different jobs.
Yeah.
That were available at the time. You could work for the railroad, the electric company, all these different organizations, that were considered to be pretty good jobs. I mean, they paid a living wage and so on and so forth. But
and now everyone has a high school diploma.
Yeah. Well, my experience, just to share a little bit, I left school at the first week of 10th grade. By the end of the year, I had a high school diploma.
Nice.
Interesting.
So you kind of got it on your own? You get like a GED or something?
Well, yeah, I took the GED test. But back then, the GED test was, and there weren't all these preparations for it and yada, yada. You had to have. I
don't think anyone really needs preparations for the GED, right? I've heard it's pretty easy.
Plenty of people need preparation for it, sure.
Well, I mean, maybe plenty of people do, but, we're talking back in the 60s, and, at that time, you had to have the knowledge to be able to get through that test. And believe me, it was not easy.
If you completed 10th grade with a, B minus average.
No, I completed 9th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, he dropped that first week of 10th grade.
the first week of my 10th
Smart move.
grade year.
But I'm only
I wish I'd have been that smart.
I'm repeating something I heard in GED. The people who give the GED is that if you completed 10th grade with a B average, then chances are good you'll finish the GED without studying.
I believe that.
What was your reason for leaving after your 9th grade year?
Well, I have to say, first of all, I was not a student.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy being a student. And then second of all, when I went into 10th grade, that was like the first year of high school. And there were always these mix-ups with scheduling and so forth and so on. And I was summoned to the guidance office. And this guidance counselor, this head guidance counselor came in, and there were, I would say, 100 people in there. And he started yelling and screaming at everybody.
Jeez.
I mean, it was sickening, But anyway.
What was he yelling about?
And just because there were so many people in the guidance office, but we were all summoned there.
Huh.
Because of scheduling,
just woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
Basically, the bureaucracy is so inefficient, right. so full of failure that it overwhelmed him.
It's also the lineage of education, which is that you pay them and they tell you what to do. This is the only market segment.
I wasn't paying them. My mother was.
Well,
my mother paid her
yeah.
taxes,
right,
and so on and so forth. But anyway. I'm summoned to the guidance office, and then this man comes in, and he starts actually physically touching people, pushing them around, screaming and hollering at them. And I said, well, hell, this ain't for me.
It sounds like you're in a prison with the warden, right? Like with some guards that are getting handsy.
No, not really, because my first career, or actually my second career move, was working in prisons.
Mm-hmm.
And
you don't think there are some similarities? You are a little older, right? Like now they literally have, these days, they actually have barbed wire and fences around schools and like huge gates with guards and things like that. So they really have
detectors on the way.
I don't know.
No, they do. I'm telling you.
I haven't been near a school.
I'm telling you, they do. Thank you, Barry, for the call tonight. I definitely appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Yeah, I mean, we can all hearken back to the days when we were in school. It sounds like they still sucked when Barry was in school, and they haven't gotten any better since then. If anything, it's even worse now. Over the decades, it just gets worse and worse for these kids. I saw pictures posted of the school I went to down in Sarasota, Florida, where it used to be a very open campus. Like there was no hallways; it was just these sort of buildings, these sort of pods that were connected via not hallways, but just sort of covered walkways, basically. And they now have gates, like huge metal gates that block off the entrances to the school. So if you don't have permission to be there, you can't get in, and that also means you can't get out if you just want to leave. Because back when I went to this school, if you wanted to walk off the campus, you just walked off the campus. There was no problem.
That was a senior privilege in my high school.
Right.
The ability to
you could go grab lunch at McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or something like that.
Yeah, they did away with that senior privilege when I was in high school. That was
really
the time they had done away with
it. They still had that for us.
The problem was that they couldn't funnel the people in, and there weren't enough fast food restaurants nearby. The restaurants couldn't get you a meal in a half an hour. And then get you out of the parking lot and into the parking lot in that amount of time. You're talking about 1,500 students, probably 200 or 300 of them are seniors. If they all want to run out to McDonald's, they've got to go, couple miles, to go there, and then everybody's in the drive-through at the same time, and it just
that's when you schedule your 2 free periods back to back.
Well, yes,
we called those, gave us 2 free periods.
Yeah. Really? Oh, okay. Well, the high school I went to had 8 total periods, and in order to graduate, you had to take a minimum of like 6 classes per year.
I see.
So you had 2 free.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. You can share your thoughts with education today. Do you still respect it? Is it still something that you think is valuable? In most cases, $8.55, $4.50 free like freedom. We got hour number 2 on the way. You can join us, take control of the airwaves. Plus, a potential ban on those little shampoo bottles that you get in hotels.
California.
Coming up soon. It's Free Talk Live.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you are invited to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms, and coming up tonight, shampoo may be banned, or at least the teeny little bottles of shampoo from California. Richie Rich has that story. Ian, Richie, and Mark are in the studio here tonight. But we've been starting out talking about Americans losing faith in a pretty significant drop over the last just 3 years. Mark, you said that it was 2015. It was like 50-something percent, 57%, I think, of Americans believed in higher education, and then just 3 years
confidence in.
Just 3 years later, that number had gone down below 50%, like 48%.
So it's 57% to 48%.
Yeah.
So they dropped by 9%, and that's only 3 years.
Yeah, that's huge.
I believe in the last 20 years, you've seen a dramatic drop in confidence. Now what we're saying right now, we're living in a country where fewer than half of Americans have confidence in higher education, and I presume that means confidence in so much as that it will, make it. You'll be successful if you have it.
And I think
I still think that's a good thing, that the confidence is lacking.
Oh, I think it's a great thing, because I believe we have created a generation of young people so saddled with debt that they cannot enter the middle class.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, the joke about the millennials is that they can't. What was it on the millennials Monopoly game? It says on the bottom, "There's no real estate because, let's be realistic, you can't afford it anyway." In the game, you can't buy the properties.
I remember coming across that picture. Yeah,
it's tough, man. I mean, it's all funny until
it's funny.
It's you,
right? So, but it is good news that people are figuring this out, and a lot of it comes from watching our friends and family members get screwed over with these student loans and sitting in jobs that they are way overqualified for, but that's what they could get. So, the classic example of the liberal arts degree person working as a waitress is very common these days, and the more people hear those stories, the more they're going to think twice when somebody tells them, "Well, you got to go to college." Well, do I? Do I have to have $50,000 in debt? Is it really going to make my life better? I mean, if you got $50,000, you can have a house, and then you don't have to pay rent anymore.
Yeah, pretty much anybody can get a mortgage if you've got $50,000.
Yeah,
it depends on your location, but
the sad thing for me is kind of like Mark uses me as the example, and it's true. And I wouldn't advocate anyone go to college now.
Mm-hmm.
But so I talk to my family members. I have younger siblings and nieces and nephews and that sort of thing, and I go, you guys should probably skip it, right? And my mom, right, who was a big advocate for me to go to school, sees my results and still wants to put her grandkids through it.
Well, she's been told her whole life.
Understood.
Is she going to pay for it?
I don't know.
If she's going to pay for it, then
Did
whatever.
She pay for yours?
Yeah. She helped out. She definitely helped out. Yeah.
But you still have debt.
Tell her about the $50,000 you got in debt.
Right.
Well, she knows about it.
Okay. Let's go to
she
your
collects
calls.
the mail, and I'm like, just chuck it.
And talk to Patrick in Virginia, listening to WNIS. Hello, Patrick.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Good. You're on the air.
All right. I got a quick question. It's regarding our striped bass in the Chesapeake Bay.
All right.
This isn't a fishing show. Do you guys do any fishing? Do you know anything about?
I've heard of striped bass.
I have never caught a fish ever.
But you've gone fishing.
I have gone fishing. I have never caught a fish.
Okay.
Well, they're talking about maybe shortening the season or pretty much not even having one because the fish just ain't around anymore.
So what you're saying is the government determines when you're allowed to fish and when you're not?
It's a conservation effort.
Yeah, that's what it's beginning to come to. So I was just kind of reaching out to see if anybody else has got any comments on that.
Well, I'm against all restrictions on what people can do as far as if it's a voluntary act. And obviously animals can't consent, at least in the way that we think that, consent means something. So I don't have any problem with hunting or fishing. I think that it's something that people should be able to do if that's what they want to do. It's personally not something I want to spend my time on. But again, it's your life. You should be able to do what you want.
The problem is that at this point, the government, these people, this criminal gang calling itself the government, claims a monopoly over water areas.
Right.
You can't really own them and
you can't
control
actually.
them. You can own some, but you can't own the Chesapeake Bay.
Okay.
Right? And you can't control whether people fish on it or not. Even if you owned, for the first 200 feet out into the Chesapeake Bay or something, how are you going to keep people off of your section of the Chesapeake Bay? Because we live.
Well, the government does it with men with guns and boats.
Well, that's what they do.
Yeah. So if you were to say you owned a place, then you'd have to hire some security.
You'd have to delineate where it is that you own, because if I'm out on a boat, I may not know where your property is.
They have buoys and things like that.
Or a rock wall.
Hey,
section.
I got a quick comment on that. I'm down here by the largest Navy base down here, and I pretty much fish right across from them. I see them boats out there, helicopters. You name it, they're out there all day.
Sounds kind of scary.
Pretty tough. They're pretty tough on the coast for sure for fishing, even getting close to that base.
Patrick, really thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Yeah, I think you shouldn't have to ask anybody's permission to go and do a thing that could sustain your life. In this case, catching fish.
Well, let's talk about solutions then, because I think one of the things that the government has a concern over is overfishing and then reducing the population of fish in the area to zero.
Sure.
So if you have a tragedy of the common situation where you have a lot of people in the village overfishing and now there's no fish for anyone to catch, what would be the solution to maintain that, or is it just once the fish are gone, that's it?
Well, the typical libertarian solution is private property.
Sure.
That's the typical one. Now, of course, if you own some water, you can breed fish. We certainly have fisheries or whatever, fish hatcheries. Fish farms where people they breed fish, and they kill the fish, and they sell the fish, and there's more fish because they're making more because the market's demanding it, and so you got to make more to supply the market.
They're running basically fish farms, but oftentimes fish hatcheries are run by the government or supported by the government for the purpose of restocking lakes. So they're actually looking for small striped bass so that they can throw that into the Chesapeake Bay so that they can then take care of what people have already fished out. I think that this is one of the particular
maybe
areas.
There's a fund that people could give to refund, to restock fish.
I think this is one of those areas where libertarianism isn't the very best answer. It doesn't give the most gratifying answers. But
frequently it doesn't. I mean, frequently our answer is let the market handle it.
Right. What we have to look at is how has it gone so far? And for instance, if you look at, we turned over the Alaskan National Wildlife Refuge to the government, and George Bush opened it up to drilling, much to the chagrin of so many greenies out there. We've had environmental regulations, and the carbon content of the atmosphere continues to go up. Sure. The people who want all this stuff basically want the government to do better. And this is how the government does, because this is what the government does. This is their shtick, and you know what it's like because we see what it's like.
So you have a private entity own the bay. They're incentivized to keep the bay stocked with fish. And then rather than a state-sponsored license to go fishing, you have a private permit to go and catch fish in that bay?
Likely it would be something like that. And you would pay for it. And, that's that. You're paying for a fishing license already.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's continue with your calls and thoughts here. David's in Canada. David, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
You're on the air. Good.
Good. Thanks for having me. I thought I'd just call in and tell you my story. With the lack there of education, I dropped out in grade 8, but I had pretty intense interest in computers, taught myself to program. And
Excellent.
By the time I was about 19, I developed a financial website that went pretty viral.
Really?
And I sold
Nice.
it. And
That
to a company
sounds
in
like a
Chicago.
cool story. Hang on. We can continue with David's story. How he avoided the education mess, dropping out at grade 8. And how much money did he make on his financial website when he was just a teenager still? More coming up. This is Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. Live Sunday edition of the show. You may dial in toll-free here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Are you an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle? If so, you belong over at liberty.menu. It's a tool for the liberty community, whether you're a libertarian or a voluntarist or liberty-loving anarchist. It is a directory for your events, businesses, and digital content that you create, the things that you're involved in that you want other people to know about. You can rate, you can review, and there's even a social networking aspect as well. So head over to liberty.menu and put the thing that you do up there so other people know about it, unless you don't want anyone to know what you do. If you're a liberty-minded person, go to liberty.menu. That's liberty.menu, and you can use code FTL like Free Talk Live to get the special Free Talk Live listener badge, and it is free to list things on liberty.menu. Let's continue here. David is still with us in Canada. So, David, you were telling us your story when it comes to the education scam, which I think for the most part it's a scam against people. But you said you wisely dropped out of school at age, what was you said, eighth grade in Canada? About how old are you in 8th grade in Canada?
You are 14?
Okay. So dropping out right at around when people would start what they call high school here in the United States. And you taught yourself programming because all the resources you need for that are online or in books you can easily access by buying them on Amazon or going to the bookstore. So you did self-taught programming and then launched a financial website when you said you were 19?
I was about 19, yeah.
And this was a site that became...
How early on the web was this? Because that seems like something doable.
This was in 1996.
Okay, so early.
Just at the beginning of the bubble, yeah.
And you sold it when?
Did
you sell it?
Financial websites out by then, you know.
How long did you run it? So you launched it when you were 19. For how long did you run the site before you sold it?
It was only about 6 months.
Wow.
Nice.
And somebody found it on the internet, and it became really popular, and they made me an offer, which to me at the time was a lot of money.
Did they know your age at the time?
No, they had no clue. But I'll tell you, 2 weeks later, after they purchased the website, they called me back up, and they said, hey, we want you to come work for us and help us set up our internet company because everything was still in its infancy. And so I flew out. They flew me out to look around and meet and greet and all that kind of stuff, and I accepted the job. And I flew back home, and I threw all my stuff in the storage and grabbed a bag and flew back, and I worked there for 3.5 years, and
Sweet.
I was fortunate enough to get to travel the world, all over Europe, consulting with this group.
Would we know the name of that company, or is that...
Yeah, I can't really disclose that.
That's fine.
But,
that's fine. Can you say how much they paid for it?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's kind of a funny story in itself because I only got $4,000 for it, which I thought was a lot of money at the time.
Well, for a
As it turned out,
19-year-old in 1996.
96, yeah.
Yeah. And so as it turned out, though, they had sold the site that I sold them for $400,000 to another buyer.
Wow. It's all about who you know.
Well, they also got paid your paycheck
right? I didn't
the whole
have
time.
a network or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, you got to work for them, so that was cool.
It's part of the pay.
Yeah. And
got
then
paid
the
in
learning lesson
exposure.
I got from that was immense, and I learned all about the markets, the stock market, and all that kind of stuff, and really got to hone my craft and apply it to developing more financial technologies, which led to me starting a company, and that company went public, and by the time I was 25, I was the CEO of a publicly traded company with a $50 million market cap.
Nice.
Damn. I love
So that
stories.
was pretty exciting,
Yeah.
right? And then the bubble popped.
Yep.
Right, like in 2001 approximately, and everything went down the drain, and then had to pick myself up and start again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 45 now, and since then I've been the CEO of publicly traded companies ever since.
Without a single day of a high school level education. Absolutely incredible story. So would you recommend that people, for the most part, stay out of higher education?
Well, I think you have to have an interest like I did. In my case, might be a bit of an anomaly, but you have to have an interest. You have something and be self-motivated.
Sure.
And read a lot and, have
if you're not motivated, a degree isn't going to help you either way, right? Like if you have no motivation, if your goal is to, hang around your PJs all day and play video games, then,
most people have some kind of motivation that they can find within themselves. They just have to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it takes getting out there and figuring things out. It's the rare person that's able to say while they're sitting in middle school, this is what I want to do with my life,
right?
And then focus themselves towards
How would they know?
that.
They've never had the chance to explore.
That's part of it. That is part of it, because I'm sure there's a lot of younger kids with a lot of peculiar interests that don't get fostered or developed to its fullest potential.
Right. Well, when you're in middle school, the only alternative classes you can choose, right, because there's the ones you have to take. There's the math, the English, the history, those things. The only alternatives, at least when I was in middle school, and I was in the so-called gifted school, was you could take computer, you can take music, and you can take art and physical education, right? Like, that was it. You decide. That's not really you're not expanding your horizons. Well, they had a computer class.
Okay.
There was a programming class later that you could take, but you were programming in a language that was out of date already by the time you were taking the class. So was it that useful? I don't know about that. Hey, David,
of course,
thanks.
There's occupations where you have to go to school for if you want like a career in law or medicine or something like that. Obviously, you need to go through the whole process to achieve that.
Exactly. David, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. But for a lot of people, it's just a huge waste of both time and money to go to these institutions. Let's continue with your
Those specialized degrees are such small percentages of the overall college base.
Let's go to Miguel. He's in North Dakota listening to KTGO in Tioga. Hello, Miguel.
Hello. Hold on. Let me get pulled over here.
Yeah, good idea.
I'm sorry.
We definitely want you to survive the call.
Be safe.
Yeah, I won't die in this thing.
Oh, please do. Please survive.
What are you driving?
Anyway, I want to talk about education. You had a caller that
you said you won't die in this thing. Are you driving a big rig? What are you driving out there?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thanks for your service.
Yepper. I'm hauling stuff for oil, so
that explains why you're in Tioga, North Dakota. All right then.
Yep. So I dropped out of high school as well, and maybe second week of 10th grade. My mom wasn't too happy about it, but she supported me. And I was 15 and making like $600 a week anyway, so I didn't care. I didn't think I needed education. And my wife, she's got 2 degrees, and one of them is in education. And education doesn't pay very well unless you're up here in North Dakota. It pays pretty well. But what I'm worried about is what our kids are being taught in school these days.
Sure.
They have, a drag queen reading hour and stuff like that. And
that one got in trouble. Didn't that one get in trouble for?
I hope so.
Like
I didn't follow it because it infuriated me. Ladies dressing boys in dresses at school. And
Like, to me, that's the least offensive thing that they do in these government schools. The most offensive thing is teaching the kids that government is good and that government is beneficial, that we need to have the states. But if you want, stand by, Miguel. We can continue here with your calls and thoughts. We've got people talking about education. Was it worthwhile to go to college for you? For a lot of people, the answer is a big no. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. If you want to join the discussion, that's 855-450-3733. Plus, potential ban on those little shampoo bottles in hotels. That's on the way here tonight on Free Talk Live.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You're able to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, where you can get on the radio with us here in the studio. It's Ian,
Richie Rich,
and Mark.
855-450-3733. This summer, Mark, we're going to Vegas.
Yeah, to Freedom Fest. It's the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. Freedom Fest's theme this year is the Wild West. Is it liberty and opportunity, or was it lawlessness and violence? They're going to have Penn Jillette there, Candace Owens, John Mackey, Kevin O'Leary, and Kevin Harrington of Shark Tank, Stephen Moore, Grover Norquist. There's going to be all kinds of folks there, not just libertarians. There'll be conservatives and liberals and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. You go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. It's freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTL50 for a $50 discount. Plus, if you're not completely convinced right now, you're thinking, oh, well, whatever time or energy or whatever it might be that's keeping you back, go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you can get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Judge Napolitano, Alan Dershowitz, Charlie Kirk, Heather McDonald, John Mackey, all of it for free. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL. What I like about Freedom Fest is that there's lots of people there doing, investment opportunities and stuff like that. I found some good opportunities at Freedom Fest. It's freedomfest.com/FTL.
We go back to Miguel. He is on the road in Tioga, North Dakota, listening to KTGO. We've been talking about education. Miguel, you were expressing frustration with the government education system. And, of course, most colleges accept money from the government, and many of them are state-run universities. But, of course, the government indoctrination camps, known as the elementary, middle, and high schools across the country, are some of the worst offenders when it comes to bad educational quality. And you were just kind of expressing some of your frustration, so I wanted to give you a chance to continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, with my wife, she's highly intelligent, like I said, 2 degrees, but going through school, she had a hell of a time in college, not with the courses and the material, but the professors. They're all, getting political and being extremely liberal.
Mm-hmm.
And, she explained how rough it was just to get through classes just because of that. And with me being a dropout, I just started my own business with this truck, and my wife will never use any of her degrees unless she gets bored when the kids are out, and with this, it's a 6-figure, maybe $250,000 potential a year income, depending on how hard I want to work. Where education up here, we actually just talked to, I leave work and we're very involved in the education of our kids, and I make sure to go to the schools and ask the questions. And the teachers up here make good pay, $48,000 she was willing to tell us. And that is really good pay for teachers, where some only make like $23,000 for a degree that they went $60,000 into debt, or $30,000 to $60,000 into debt with. And it's just upsetting to see people spending that money and our children getting taught the political opinions and views of teachers.
Well, the best thing you can do, of course, is get your kids out if you possibly can to homeschool or unschool. Those are always better options.
Homeschooling and unschooling is just being involved in your kids' education. So,
well, usually it involves getting them out of the government schools.
I've
never heard of someone who's claimed to be homeschooled that goes to the government schools. That doesn't happen.
Lots of people are homeschooled to go to government schools. Sure,
I've never heard of that.
This government school that we were not going to put our daughter in a government school, but we went to the school and met everybody. They're all, good, wonderful people that aren't going to push any kind of liberal agenda into our children. And
where the hell did you find this school? Is it just that way in North Dakota typically? Is that what you're saying?
North Dakota is a red state, conservative state.
Sometimes I feel naive in that respect because I remember going to school and I don't remember the political agenda or the political stand.
Never happened. It never happened when we were in school.
Oh, I bet it did. It's just you wouldn't be able to detect it. If you're a young person, you don't know what to look for. You don't know what, at the very least, it's a pro-state agenda. It's not anything that's in favor of independence. It's not anything that's in favor of liberty.
Schools in and of themselves are hierarchical organizations that are, designed to tell young people what to do. So they're going to be pro-state by their very creation.
Yeah, I just don't remember any teacher saying, "Well, I hate this president," or "You should do this."
Yeah, what you're seeing is the flower at the end of the plant. It's had a lot of opportunity to grow. The weed, it's the flower at the end of the dandelion, right? The weed has had a chance to take deep root and has been growing.
Well, and Miguel, thank you for the call tonight. I definitely appreciate hearing from you. Even though he believes that he has found a government school that is more acceptable than what he thought he was going to find, and I don't deny that could be true, the other side of the coin is, well, what about the lefty liberals that are living in the area that are upset about the fact that, they can't get the education they're looking for at the government school that you like? So essentially you're just now forcing, your viewpoint down somebody else's throat, which is why they like to force their viewpoint down, your throat, because whoever can get in control of the government gets to force their viewpoints down kids' throats. And it's just something that needs to stop. It's just something that people need to get over, this whole idea that we need to have a government school system in the first place. And, of course, no politician is going to propose this, but that would be the ideal situation where parents get to keep the money that they've earned and then spend that money on whatever educational opportunities they think is best for their family, whether it be homeschool, unschool, a private school, some sort of schooling co-op, or whatever.
I support all of that, right? Like, I support the notion of destroying government schools.
And replacing it with nothing. Let the market fill in.
Right, and let the market fill in. However, I live in the real world. I have a kid, and I understand that. And
you don't send him to government school.
I don't, because I'm looking. I think for my family, I don't think it's right. However, the solutions I like to give to people are abstract solutions about how the world should be. And yes, I think we should get rid of the notion of government school from the very bottom up. However, I think it's also important to note that you need a solution for today. And the solution for today is be involved in your kids' schooling in whatever way you think is best and talk to them, find out what's best from them too. Most kids are just kind of bebopping along mindlessly. They're in, some other world. They don't understand how the world goes. So parents have to take an active role. If government school's the right solution for your kid, then maybe it's the right solution. You've already paid for it. There's nothing wrong with using it. There's nothing wrong with driving on the roads. You've already paid for them. But I don't think that the government should run those things either. I don't think that the state should be in charge of all kinds of different things. But if you choose to use them, you've already paid for them, and there's nothing sort of wrong or immoral about it. Yeah, there's a lot of parents should be warned. There's a lot of bad news that comes out about government schools, and you don't have much sway. That ultimately they're going to do what they're going to do, and you're going to either like it or move your kid to a private school or homeschool or whatever you're going to do.
I don't usually fault people for using government-provided services.
I don't.
But no. I do see it as a trap that gets you dependent on government services. And so the less you can be dependent on those services, like, sure, you're paying for the public school, for other kids. But if you can still find a way to do that and homeschool your kid or put your kid in private school, that's probably better off in the long run.
I think some people don't. They've tried homeschooling and they didn't like it. It didn't work out for them, and there's better options.
It's also not for everybody.
Yeah, it's absolutely not for everybody, and I don't want to tell people how it is. But I do want to make it clear that what government school, I don't call it public school. What government school is middle class welfare, babysitting, day prison, and I mean every one of those words. That's what it's there for, because they don't teach your kids any more than you can teach your kids if you want, but. Well, if you send them there, it's just an excuse to make sure that mom gets off to get a job, more or less.
You've got 7 hours of your day covered from daycare.
That's the idea. Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Come on, call in and school me. Free Talk Live.
More coming up. It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And in the studio with you tonight, it's Ian.
Richie Rich.
And Mark.
Of course, you can bring up anything that you want. We've been talking about education. A lot of people have opinions about it because many people have been screwed over by the higher education system, with ever-expanding fees and debts being piled on top of one another to the point where many don't even bother trying to pay it off. Later on, with you in the studio, Ian, Richie, and Mark. You can bring up anything. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Let's continue with more of your calls and thoughts. We go first to Matthew in Louisiana. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Matthew.
Good evening. So I figured I'd throw a little humor in there. Y'all heard that Eric Newcomb Swalwell's running for president, right?
Who?
Nope.
Eric Newcomb Swalwell. He's
Never heard
that Congress critter from California who got into a Twitter battle with some Second Amendment-y types. And
how'd that go for him?
Is Newcomb a nickname?
Well,
like he's pro-nuclear?
Well, this is why he got that nickname.
Oh, okay.
Because he said... when somebody said, well, you're going to come try to forcibly take our guns away from us, that's called an insurrection. And he said, well, we have nukes. And everybody's like, well, he went there. Well, good news is, though, their Second Amendment is safe with Newcomb because he has said that he only wants to take the most dangerous weapons away from the most dangerous people, which means apparently the government's going to be giving away all their weapons.
He's going to disarm the government.
That's what he said. It's dangerous weapons away from dangerous people. And what has the 20th century taught us? Who kills those people? Governments, right?
That's pretty much what happens.
Governments kill a whole lot of people, like way more than like all the murderers combined, basically.
Is he going to disarm all the governments?
No, he's not going to disarm anybody from the government.
Just checking.
I think that you can say that...
It sounds like that's what he says to me. So, Mark, you want that aircraft carrier? Just go, as soon as he's elected president, just go right down to the Norfolk Naval Yard. I'm sure they'll be happy to hand one over to you and 1,000 of your closest friends.
Thanks, Matthew.
They
for
wouldn't
the call.
have any guns to protect that naval yard from you at that point because they've been disarmed of all of them.
Oh, no, they don't disarm the state. Statists never disarm the state.
Drew is in Virginia Beach listening to WNIS. Hello, Drew.
Hey, so I just wanted to say two things, right? So when young people are deciding on getting a degree, I agree that probably 50%, at least 50% of all degrees are absolutely useless, except for the colleges that are taking the money.
Yeah.
But I did go to college. But if you're a young person, look out there and see, can I find 5 people who are going for the degree that I want? Like before you choose a degree, and once you say, well, I want to do a master's in whatever, try to find 5 people with that degree. Do those 5 people actually have a job? If you have trouble finding people in your general area within a 1-hour drive or whatever, that gives you an indication of how useful that degree is.
How do you find those people? I mean, just post on the internet somewhere, or like how do you?
Now, me personally, I haven't personally. I'm a registered nurse, right? So
Yeah, you're doing fine.
Right. So the thing is, like, and how I got there was I worked within the system. I respected other people. They drop out and they have some great idea and become a millionaire. And the other side of it is also, like, take the broken system that you're in and you work within it. I went to public schools. I learned how crazy society was. I think that was a good thing for me to learn, from an early age that I'm living, I got acclimated to the craziness and realized that didn't need to be me with the help of my parents. They let me know, hey, this is school, but this is not, they're not going to, every time I went to school, like, this is not what you're supposed to do. Like, this is not the way the world should be. It's the way the world is. So anyways, I went to Votech. That was free. I went to community college. That was next to free. I went on to university. That was next to free. I think my entire education, I added it up. It was like $5,000 some $100, including like books and uniforms.
How was all that next to free?
Well, there's Pell Grant. Pell Grant takes care of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of little grants. Once you've done, like, if you're just coming out of high school doing not, just coming out of high school and that's it. But if you've already gone to Votech, there's already like bridge programs. There's, if you've started doing something, even though we have a broken system, if you started doing anything, like educating yourself in some way,
sure,
the money comes to you. So what I'm saying is, like, what people need to do, it's not that, okay, all college is bad. I understand you're not saying that. But what I say is, like, be very discriminating about your degree.
Yes.
If you can't identify, like, I can, butchers, bakers, plumbers, nurses, respiratory therapists, like, things you've heard of, things that the lady, like, what I'm saying is, like, if there was 5 people with a degree, if you don't know, like, 2 people, my aunt is a respiratory therapist, or my, the lady down the hall, down the street is a plumber or something like that, or whatever certification or types of post-secondary education. If you can't quickly come up with 5 people who have that certification or that degree or that licensure, yada, 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 then maybe you need to think about, this isn't a useful degree. And
I think it's the thinking that's really the problem here is that when I was 18 years old, I wasn't qualified to do it. Thinking, that is. I just,
True.
You're giving for me, my priorities were not, what is my life going to be like? They were like, girls and cars and, making enough money to sort of make it. But really, that's about it. Nothing else. And so for me, that was the worst time in my life, for me to be deciding whether or not I would want to take on, call it $20,000 in debt every year for the next 4 years. It was just it was a bad idea.
Crazy.
As an RN, you should be added to the list, in my opinion, of people who need bachelor's degrees. It's a short list.
At what point did you decide to be a nurse?
Well, here's what's up. I can't take any credit for it. I'm sorry to say it, but it really doesn't come down to government. It really comes down to parenting. And, my folks sat me down and they said, look, when I was in my early teens, they said, look, these are what your grades are. This is what's going on. These are some options. You have family members who are in healthcare. You have other family members in the military. You have, you know what I mean? They said, well, you need to make a decision. So, like, I can't take any credit. I just had, it's parenting. It comes down to parenting sometimes. And, maybe we can't fix what.
I think that highlights an interesting point, is that you were given some guidance, and a lot of people who are going to college are not being given guidance. They're being told, go to college and figure it out there. So they're not going for anything specific, and then they get there and they still don't figure it out, and then they come out saddled with the debt. Whereas you had family members in the industry, you had, I guess, a basic knowledge of what to expect going into nursing, and so you were able to make an educated, not ironically using that term, an educated decision to pursue that.
Cool.
Drew, thanks for your call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. He's Tom in New Hampshire, listening online. Go ahead, Tom.
It's about all these Central American refugees coming into the United States and supposedly overwhelming the Border Patrol and what they need to do. See, these people are fleeing from extreme violence at the hands of drug gangs in Central America. Now, one of the things that the South could have done when Lincoln announced the Emancipation Proclamation on September 22nd, 1862, you're gonna if you're holding slaves. See, this was just before the midterm elections, and he figured by turning it into a war to free the slaves, he could get more pro-war men elected to Congress on the Union side. And what the South could have done was that, okay, we're going to preempt that. We're going to free the slaves, pass a law banning slavery in the Confederate States of America.
They wouldn't do that, but yes, that would have actually worked.
What they got to do might have worked, but what they got to do is legalize those drugs in the United States now, and now all of a sudden those drug gangs can't make a living selling drugs. All these truckloads of cocaine passing through Central America suddenly have nowhere to go because the drugs are going to be sold at fair market value in the United States.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt that drugs and the drug gangs that are moving them around, the drug gangs are the huge problem, down in South and Central America. However, it is just a problem. If you were to clear up the drug gangs tomorrow, it's not going to end corruption within the Honduran government or whatever other Central American governments. I mean, governments are corrupt from top to bottom, regardless of whether there's a war on drugs going on. So there's still going to be a bunch of people that want to get the hell out, even if all of a sudden the drug gangs are wiped off the map, just because those governments are awful, just in general. Thank you, Tom, for the call tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Coming up, we got this California potential shampoo ban on the way. Plus, the U.S. military is targeting video gamers as potential new recruits. They're launching an esports team. We'll tell you about it coming up in Hour 3. It's Free Talk Live.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You dial toll free to bring up whatever you want. Our number is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms. Go to discord.lrn.fm. Coming up, the crackdown or potential crackdown against those little shampoo bottles in the hotels in California. That's
terrible, those things.
Of course, where it's
Who
coming
needs
out.
them?
Well, we'll get into the story, and Richie, you have that with us. It's Ian, Richie, and Mark Edge here in the studio. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And then also the U.S. military targeting video gamers. They have missed their recruiting goal in the Army, so they want to get some gamers and put real guns in their hands.
Sadly, that makes sense. If it's going to be, not on the ground, boots on the ground warfare, and you're just going to sit in a monitor and control a drone, well, you've got a generation that has been doing that for decades now.
I'm pretty sure this isn't just drone hiring. I think they're looking for boots on the ground. But we'll get into that story coming up here. Your calls and thoughts, though, come first. So let's go back to the phones, to the fun. David is on the line in Virginia. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, David.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
Listen, I lost a son to drugs, and I've read everything there is to know about them. And this thing about legalizing drugs and making the problem go away, that's not the problem. The problem's the money. When we prohibited drugs in this country, we drove them underground where we couldn't see them. They're out of, and the prices goes up. The price goes up astronomically.
Yep.
And so as long as the prices are up, as long as the drugs are illegal, you have to pay more for them. Now, you've never heard of anybody getting shot up for a beer deal going bad.
Nope.
Not so about heroin.
Well, not in like 100 years, basically.
Yeah, that's right. Now, here's the thing, and also that the kids in this city, the most difficult mind-altering drugs for them to get are beer and tobacco. They're controlled by the state. You have to have an ID card. There's not enough profit in them to have a black market in them. And so you've got to approach this thing sensibly and look at both sides of it. You can't just do something and expect everything to change. Everything's got to be fine-tuned. And that's the way it always has been. I just want to put that in.
So then you would agree then that the fact that the drugs are illegal is driving up their price, making it harder for people to afford them, making it more likely that they're going to go and rob somebody or break in, to somebody's car and steal things out of their home while they're away and, all those sorts of things. So you would agree then that we ought to legalize drugs in order to bring the prices down, make the quality better and safer, right?
Legalize, tax, and control. Some years ago, the British, they set up a program whereby they took drug addicts off the street. They put them on controlled drugs, specified dose, pure drugs, controlled efficacy.
Yeah, quality control.
The people who were on those drugs came off the street. They came out and they became functioning citizens. You couldn't tell they were on them. Matter of fact, the man who put together Johns Hopkins University was on laudanum every day of his life, as was James McCarthy.
Yeah, this country was built by people with legal access to opiates. I mean, no conservative wants to say it, but it's the truth. Sir, I'm sorry about what happened to your son. You are a rare individual indeed who is able to confront this situation and come to a rational conclusion.
Right. So you've set your emotions aside, and you've made the right choice here in this case. I definitely appreciate it. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, could I make one other thing?
Yeah.
Okay, the people in this country who have absolutely unfettered access to large amounts of crystal
methamphetamine.
Yeah.
Okay, the meth was designed and built by the Germans to make their troops more awake and more vicious, and they work. It works. The viciousness of meth people are legendary. So the police can confiscate drugs and either take them or not take them to the lab. And I maintain of all these things I've seen, these egregious people being shot by police because they're afraid of their lives, I see meth written all over those. Why wouldn't police be meth addicts as well as anybody else? And they won't tell on each other. I mean, that's a hell of a terrible thing to say. But
you're suggesting that the police are using the products that they are confiscating.
Some of them are.
Some of them are. Yeah. Some of them are selling them. Some of them are taking them, not using them, but then selling them and making pure profit.
We don't know what happened. Market. The rats ate all the evidence.
Hey, David, thanks for the call tonight. I definitely appreciate hearing from you, and I second what Mark said, because that's got to be the hardest thing in the world, to have a loved one die due to a drug addiction and then not actually blame the drug itself, but to blame prohibition, to point out that in the absence of drug prohibition, people are less likely to become addicted, but if they are, they're more likely to get help because they're not afraid. We've seen in Portugal, after more than, I think, 15 years now of a massive decriminalization experiment there, basically making it essentially legal to have personal amounts of pretty much any drug, meth, coke.
Illegal. I don't know if you said legal.
Illegal drug. Yeah, pretty much any.
It's legal to have what would be an illegal drug here in the United States.
Right. A personal amount.
A personal amount. I mean, you can't open up a cocaine and heroin shop. No. But if you are an addict on the street and you're caught with cocaine and heroin, you're going to be offered the opportunity to go to treatment.
You may have to go. I still think they're putting people through that.
I've watched documentaries, and it's just not. It's not what they're doing.
Okay.
I mean, yes,
well, we read about it.
They can force people into treatment.
Yeah.
But no, they generally don't.
Okay.
And people have to come because treatment works. What's the Alcoholics Anonymous thing? The only requirement for membership is a desire.
You want to be there,
right? A desire to stop drinking. It's the same as true with any addiction. If you don't have the desire, you're not qualified to be in that treatment center anyway.
And you could be a detriment to the rest of the people there.
Right. At the very least, very least, put the people who want help in one treatment center and then create a treatment center for people who don't want help. All right? So at the least, you have the losers in one spot and the winners in another.
Let's continue. Dave is in New Mexico listening on TuneIn. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, it's just an excuse to make sure mom gets off. That's what Jimmy Kimmel would do to Mark Ed's statement in his unnecessary editing segment.
I see. What I had said is that mom gets time off to go work or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Never seen it.
It's funny. The unnecessary censorship is a funny bit.
When you edit things out of people's statements, basically.
He basically bleeped the wrong word or bleep a benign word to make it sound vulgar.
Yeah, that's fun. That is fun. Because people will fill in with their dirty minds, right?
Right. What else would they do?
Yeah. Yeah, so if you bleeped Mark at the beginning and the end of the phrase I gave you, it comes out as it's just an excuse to make sure Mom gets off.
Right. All right, what else are you calling about tonight?
There's degrees of separation, a real-life example. Coast to Coast AM, their producer, Tom Danheiser, asked me off-air to see if I could get a hold of Vince Gilligan to get him on their program.
That's the creator of the TV series Breaking Bad.
Yeah, okay. And the X-Files.
Okay.
So what I did is I contacted Stephen Michael Quezada, who is Gomi on Breaking Bad, and he said that he would take if Coast to Coast sent me an email, then I sent it to Gomi. Gomi would send it to Vince, and so that's a real life example of how that works.
So wait, did it happen?
Anyway,
did Coast to Coast get Vince Gilligan because of your connections?
We're still working on it. So far, since you mentioned that, and they're an advertiser during your program, Tom Danheiser, I'm still waiting on that email that you were going to send me. So
I don't think they're listening, but you never know.
I hope so.
He'll do it. The rest of the channel's already been taken care of. I've already opened up the channel, just waiting on Tom Danheiser.
Well, good luck, Dave. Thanks for the Hollywood update. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So I guess if you need somebody in Albuquerque, Dave's the guy to talk to.
I think maybe.
He knows everybody.
I'm going to start figuring out who Dave's got contacts with to see if we can get him.
Let's continue here. Bad Slave is on the line with us on Discord. Bad Slave.
Hi.
Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, listen, I want to just say that the idea of learning is, in primary schools and in secondary schools is so antiquated. I mean, it is so behind the
They shouldn't
time.
be learning?
Hold on, Bad Slave. We'll bring you back. We'll continue the discussion here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I think he means the methods that they're
Probably
using.
the methods, yeah.
We're coming up. This is Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. You dial in. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And with you tonight, it's Ian.
Richie Rich.
And Mark.
Of course, you can bring up whatever you want. We've been talking a lot about education and essentially the scam that higher education is and how many people have been screwed over by it. People are getting burned to the point where the public's faith in higher education has been suffering large losses in just the last 3 years, dropping from, I think it was 57%. But sort of have some faith or believe in it, versus
48%.
Now 48% here in 2018 was the number.
It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, as people start to realize the truth that it's not really necessary
more
for
and more
success.
people graduate with communications degrees and are working as bartenders, and people call them and ask their opinion on what they think about the viability of a college education these days.
Right. So we continue. Bad Slave was on the line here, still is there on our Discord server. Go ahead, Bad Slave.
Thank you, Ian. I want to say that as bad as secondary education, colleges and universities out there, I'd say that the primary education is way worse. I think that what's actually being done by the government schools, I call them government in-doc. That's what we're dealing with, and that is the prison system they call schools that they put our children in, that they make bullies out of. They've got them locked in. They've got resource officers in there beating kids up. cuffing them and hauling them away. We've got, there's so much bad there, and they don't even need to go there. They could stay home and do their own thing. Or there could be small local schools, private schools, that will do a much better job.
Well, who would educate them at
these
home?
Children.
Who would educate them at home if you got two working parents?
Well, I just said they can have, smaller, less expensive private schools are perfectly willing to do it. But I don't think that we need to have both parents home working if you're going to be a parent. I really think that parents ought to have at least one of the two of you around for the kids to do that. And if we didn't have to pay the taxes that were being levied terribly on all of us, I just had to pay almost an $8,000 bill here recently to fund mostly schools. And, it makes me sick to think of what they're actually producing. They don't even use good resources for this education.
LRN.FM. Sorry about that, but we can't let you do that. Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Just a reminder.
That's unfortunate.
Free Talk Live is, and he waited for a while before getting to that, that we are a talk radio show, which means we are on broadcast radio stations, so we do have to protect our station's licenses. I wish we didn't have to, but we got to.
Yep.
So we have to have a zero tolerance for that kind of thing. 855-450-FREE. But he did mention the cops in schools beating people up. One of the most recent headlines that I had seen, and I don't see a lot of this stuff just because I've seen so many police abuse videos. I just don't watch them all that I could these days.
Sure.
But in Chicago, there's video of officers dragging a student, 16-year-old female, downstairs.
Oh, God.
Then punching and tasing her. And more than one officer. So.
And her crying.
She wasn't being compliant when we were dragging her down the stairs.
Obviously not. But why anyone would think that they would need to drag somebody down a flight of stairs is just crazy, especially when you've got two hulking cops to I'm not saying the girl's going to, a waif or anything like that, but she doesn't look like she's 300 pounds or whatever. So, and there's video. Toll-free number tonight if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE.
Do you think they assign a certain type of officer to the schools, like the ones that are more inclined or are in trouble for their, outside activities?
I don't think so. I think it's probably just whoever wants to gig or randomly choose them or whatever. I'm not sure how they make these decisions.
Okay.
Sometimes what they'll do, like in the department in Keene, is they'll rotate them in and out.
Okay.
So the officer who's the officer this year may only be on for like a year or two, and then they'll be replaced by a different one. And so like the one that's a prosecutor now because they have like a police prosecutor, he's there for a couple years, then they move another one in. And so they kind of rotate them around. At least that's how they do it here. They don't necessarily do it the same way.
Different places do it different
everywhere.
ways, yeah.
It just, and again, it seems like the more video surfaces, there are more isolated incidents all over the country. And isolated incidents being the key term
in quotation marks.
In quotation marks.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't understand what the mentality is of those resource officers or why they think that the way they handle teenagers needs to be so violent. Like what's the lesson being taught there, and what are they trying to get across? Right?
So let's go to Richard. He's in Virginia listening online. Hello, Richard.
Yes, sir.
Hi, you're on the air.
I'm on the air.
Yes, sir.
Think the Republicans, can I talk about anything?
Sure,
what?
Go
ahead.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
I think they should, Republicans, my name is Richard, Republicans, should get a bipartisan thing going on, and won't be long for it will be 2 more years to be elected. I think Trump's going to get it again, but they can...
what would you like to see happen? I'm not real clear.
The
what
Republicans create a bipartisan...
What do you want them to do?
Work Democrat bipartisan unity to get together and work on
But what do you want them to work on? Okay, so you want them to work together. What is it you would like them to accomplish?
It scares me when they work together.
I agree with you, but I just want to know, what is his goal? What do you want to do?
On the wall, the
on the laws. Uh-huh.
Yes, sir, and abortion.
Abortion?
Yes, sir.
What do you want them to do about it?
I don't think. Well, they should. God doesn't believe in abortion, so I think
they should build abortion clinics along the Mexican border.
Yeah, but that's two things I was talking about. If the child, getting back to abortion, if the child they should let the child, if you come out to former or boy or girl.
I can't understand half the words this guy's saying.
The accent is strong.
I mean, I'm from the South, and I can't even understand you, Richard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I'll call you back another time.
All right, that'd be great. Thanks for the call.
Yes,
I'm really looking forward to hearing from you, I think, with a more coherent call, but I don't think we're going to get more coherence from Richard.
I don't know.
Bipartisanship.
A product of the government education system.
No, he's not dumb. He's got
an accent.
He's got a regional accent, and it's being on the radio. And
I didn't say he
stuff.
was dumb.
No.
I just said he's probably a product of the government education system.
Statistically, you're very likely to be true.
Yeah.
But then again, so are you.
Yeah, it's true. 855-450 free, like freedom. You can join us here on Free Talk Live.
Go to themorganreport.com and receive updates and insights you will not find anywhere else on the web. You will discover how to grow and protect your wealth under all market conditions. The Free Morgan Report provides interviews, webinars, question and answer sessions, plus mind-blowing videos. As David Morgan says, let my passion create your wealth. TheMorganReport.com. TheMorganReport.com.
It's Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free, bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've been talking about education, but we've got a potential ban on those little shampoo bottles to talk about on the way here as well, at least in California. And, of course, bad ideas like this tend to start in California and then spread from there.
As California goes, so goes the nation.
So don't think that you're going to avoid it just because you're not in California.
Sorry, Maine.
We continue, though.
Especially if you remove the Electoral College.
Yes.
More of your calls and thoughts. Welcome. Our number again, 855-450-FREE. Ian, Richie, and Mark in the studio tonight. Let's talk to Sarah. She is in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, so yesterday I saw more construction of the raising of the street corners. So, like I said, this show does help with the street safety improvements here.
I know you truly believe that, and I will take the credit, but I don't really believe it.
I love that you they have this kind of confidence in Free Talk Live, that your calls in here, talking about...
We're that influential, Mark. Yeah. The fact that we are on in Albuquerque.
Sarah is.
All of the politicians listen to Free Talk Live, and whenever Sarah calls in, they tune with rapt attention. They hear...
Well, Sarah doesn't even listen, though. I mean, how can the...
She does listen. She says she listens on KABQ. Don't you, Sarah?
Well, sometimes you're on at... every day it changes. Sometimes you cut off at 7 o'clock. Sometimes you're on at 8 o'clock. You're not on Saturdays. You're not on Sundays.
Yeah, that's true. They do only have us on weekdays.
Yeah, I am so confused. I just get so tired trying to figure out when you're on. So I do...
Well, it's not that exhausting.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
we could give you a website, but you don't have internet access, so I guess, that's kind of tough, I suppose.
I'll just catch it when you can, but
that's how most people listen to the radio.
Yeah, that's true. There's not a whole lot of appointment listening, but it does happen. Oh, I correct myself here. We are on Sundays. I thought we might have been on late Sundays. So, yeah, Albuquerque listeners can get us on KABQ from 5 to 8. So that's live. We are live in Albuquerque weekdays, and then they run 2 hours of our Sunday show, 8 to 10 Mountain Time in the evenings, and that's on AM 1350. Sarah, so what were you calling about?
So the corners, it's like a little cup. If you were to imagine a street corner, what you're saying is that It's like a little guard that comes out to the side like a foot high, like a little cup rail, and it's cut out in the middle so that it blocks the car, if you could imagine it.
Mm-hmm.
Doing my best. If you're a pedestrian, if you're standing in the corner of an intersection, you're in a corner, so there's a rail that they put up, like a little tiny concrete rail, like about a foot, and it's open in the middle, so you can walk out.
So to protect pedestrians while they're getting ready to cross the street from turning traffic.
Right. That's correct. Instead of cars rolling over.
Okay.
So
what you're saying is you don't think a car could roll over this barrier, this foot-high barrier?
Well, it is harder than having it be flat. Usually, all the corners are flat, and they have known to just
cut the
right
corner
over it.
Mm-hmm, sure, and run over your foot. That's no good. Or run into you.
Well, I'm going to ask you, how come you don't think the radio, like, if I have 5 to 10 listeners out of Albuquerque or New Mexico, that
I would hope we've got more than 5 to 10. I mean, I know AM radio is having a tough time, but I would hope that we could do better than that.
It's the 5 to 10 most influential members of
the entire city council. See the listenership.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about let's say somebody did get concerned about, like, street safety, like myself, who was hit by a car. One of them might listen to
You
that
need a
one
meetup
show.
group. You need a street safety. No, wait, no, you need the internet for that. I guess you can't really.
Or
that's what radio is for Sarah.
Wouldn't
Sarah's personal internet
meetup group.
A local talk radio station be more appropriate that handles local Albuquerque issues?
You mean show?
Oh, yeah, but you know what? Your show is on Albuquerque. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
We're close enough. We'll take her calls. I mean,
I got
people
you.
in Albuquerque can hear her.
But we don't make decisions for Albuquerque.
No, but that's exactly my point. Is the listeners that are like myself that could write email and phone call and go to the meeting and go to Santa Fe and lobby. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I'm not talking about the politicians.
So what you're saying is you want more people to call in to talk about whatever issues they want to talk about, or just road safety?
No. I'm talking about the listeners. When I talk about these corner improvements, street improvements, or
what do you want them to do?
I'm talking about the listeners, the other listeners. It seems like it might be a few number of people, but they'll get active.
Okay.
So you're hoping to inspire? Are you hoping that your calls will inspire other people in your area to take on these issues, to call, say, city council members and that kind of thing?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a small way. It might be like an email, but you get 30 people writing emails every day for 365 days a year.
You've got a bunch of annoying people.
Yeah, well, Ian, this is the premise of Free Talk Live. Sarah understands the premise of Free Talk Live.
She does. She's one of the few.
There are, very, very few
But I'm
people.
saying if you write to the politicians every day, you're just going to be an annoyance. They're not going to want to hear from you. That's what happened to David in New Mexico. Is he wrote to them too many times, and now they're pissed at him, and they send cops after him.
Yes.
Right, so you have to use some sort of like unlike Sarah, thanks for the call. Unlike Free Talk Live, where we welcome contacts from people, we want to hear from people who have opinions. We want them to call in, and we only have a 1 call per night limit because I'm sure Sarah would call more than once per night if she were allowed to do so. But we want that to happen. Politicians don't actually want to hear from people.
No,
they act like they do. But if they hear from you too often...
They just want your vote, not your opinion.
Right. They will turn you away and be very unfriendly.
I would say, though, that your letter to a politician, if that letter comes, say, quarterly, maximum every couple of months, is more effective by a factor than your vote.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you that.
So voting is probably inconsequential from a mathematical standpoint on anything above sort of the state rep level.
Do they listen to those people?
Probably not. But,
who write letters?
Yeah.
In some cases, they do. If they have no opinion, you're more likely to sway them on an issue.
Okay.
Now, if they have an opinion, if you find the pro-abortion politician and you write them an anti-abortion letter or vice versa, you're not going to get anything. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
But if you're talking about, like FISA regulation of the internet, A lot of politicians are like, I don't really know whether the internet should be regulated or how it should be regulated or whatever. And these people say to vote against FISA, and there's a whole bunch of them that say so. Then yeah, they listen to that.
Okay, because I remember participating. Was it was it Downsize DC? Are you guys?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Big fans.
The email campaigns.
Yep.
And for a little bit, I went and I was like, okay, this issue is important. Click the email, boom, sent to my local.
Easy,
yep. Very easy.
Yep.
But then all the responses I ever got back were just form letters telling me why they disagreed with my position and that they weren't going to do anything about it.
Well, in your case, you were in Hawaii, where the politicians are all Democrats.
They're always form letters. Everything I ever got back was always a form letter.
True. And I agree with you.
They don't care about
Downsize
you.
DC
and they don't have time for you.
Took on big issues, not little ones.
Mm-hmm.
And
national issues.
You're talking about contacting like a city councilor or something like that?
I'm talking about national politicians about things where you might have a chance of changing their mind.
Not very likely. They're not even going to read what you write.
Sometimes they do.
They're going to have aides that might send them a tally sheet of information they received from people sort of summarized or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, the odds that those politicians are sitting there reading the things that you're sending to them, pretty
All I'm
slim.
saying is that writing a letter is a factor more important than
I'll
voting.
agree with you there.
Okay.
Because voting is basically useless.
Yes.
It's completely insignificant. This is basically not quite as useless, but pretty much
It's a letter
useless.
that is likely to be ignored.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. But
if you don't want to be ignored, donate $1,000 to their campaign or something.
Or $10,000.
Say, I'd like to have dinner with the politician. I'm ready to make $1,000 donation.
1,000 isn't going to get you dinner.
10,000 per plate.
10,000 might get you dinner.
1,000 might on an off night.
If we're talking about maybe a state level politician, you might get one for 1,000.
Yeah, you might.
Not that I've ever tried to do any of these things.
No.
I don't want to meet these people. I don't want to talk to them.
I wouldn't give $1,000.
No
What
way.
a waste of
Hell
time.
no. Wow. Yeah, what a huge waste. All right, we got more coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Join us here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Richie Rich.
And Mark.
Oh, hey, I want to make sure that you are aware of our video streams as they are going out to multiple platforms. We are on Twitch at twitch.lrn.fm. And the brand new D-Live, well, at least it's new to us. It's been around for, I think, over a year. That you can find over at dlive.lrn.fm. You can watch us live in those places. Plus, every now and then we do other things like alternative streams that are only on the internet. Our after shows, for instance, we did one of those on Friday night. And just earlier today, actually, Rich Paul came over and Vincent, and we did a live commentary stream on the PewDiePie premiere on DLive, which I'd never watched PewDiePie before. And Rich hadn't either, so it was kind of a new experience for us. But then again, he wasn't doing what he normally does. Normally, I guess he plays video games, but in this case, he was just giving away a bunch of money to people who were also on DLive. So he would keep going. He'd go to different channels and then just give a bunch of the Lino points that they have to the people in those channels. And so kind of the part of the fun of watching it was watching people's reactions, because these are basically people, a lot of them, who probably started doing streaming because they watched PewDiePie. They, at the very least, know he's a superstar in that area. He's the #1 YouTube channel on the planet. And so he would go into their channel and then he'd start hitting them with a bunch of donations, and then eventually they'd notice, right, because they're paying attention to their chat rooms, and essentially freak out, kind of like
starstruck,
starstruck, reaction.
People meeting their their favorite celebrity, basically, or in this case having their favorite celebrity or one of them giving them money. So it was kind of fun to watch some of them freak out, and that was pretty much all there was to it.
To PewDiePie?
I didn't. No, sorry, PewDiePie. I don't think you really need my subscription. Not that I would go to watch you anyway.
Right.
I've got so many other things that I could be doing. So if you want to follow us on those platforms, we would appreciate it over at dlive.lrn.fm and at twitch.lrn.fm. Let's talk about shampoo bottles.
Oh, my
Richie.
goodness. I'm ready.
This is happening, of course, in California.
The great state of California.
They're going to save the world from
One little shampoo bottle at a time.
They're going to save us from convenience. What are they going to put the shampoo in if not small bottles? What do they got?
We had a discussion at dinner, and we're not going to talk about it here. From KPIX in San Jose, California is moving towards banning those little bottles of shampoo you get in hotel rooms. In California alone, hotels use hundreds of millions of single-use plastic bottles every year.
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions.
Wow, I'm surprised it's that many.
In California alone, they said?
Yep.
Okay.
In California alone.
There's a lot of hotels in California. I mean, it's a big place.
And you got to think you get a new one of those like every night.
Right, every day.
Every hotel room, every night, aside from whatever the occupancy happens to be. Said Assembly member Ash Kalra of San Jose. Kalra is co-authoring a bill that would ban the tiny plastic bottles at almost 10,000 hotels statewide. So there's your number of hotels
so multiply 10,000 times however many the average hotel room has. Right. Times the number of days, times, however many of them are full on average, at 60% occupancy or whatever.
We just need a waxed paper container for these things.
We can get those bottles out of the waste stream, but also cut the production of them, which is also harmful to the environment, he said. Last year, Santa Cruz County became the first jurisdiction in California to ban the small bottles.
It's too bad. It's so pretty there.
So already one little county in California.
We haven't been in a long time. It was nice. We did go to KSCO out in Santa Cruz years ago.
Yeah, I love Santa Cruz.
Broadcast from there. It was really pretty.
My wife likes Anaheim because she's a big Disney fanatic.
Yeah, okay.
This is a significant step forward to make sure that these bottles do not get into the bay, said Santa Cruz County Supervisor Zach Friend. Carlos Bill AB 1162 is working its way through committees in Sacramento. If it passes on the assembly floor later this year, the ban would not take effect for at least 3 years.
Do they say what the proposal is for giving people shampoo? Because you cannot take anything above 3 ounces on a plane, right? Or is it just in the carry-on luggage?
Just in the carry-on.
Carry-on, yeah.
So I guess you could put a big bottle of shampoo in your checked bag on a plane. Yeah. But if you don't have a checked bag, well, you can't bring anything that's above 3 ounces, which is one of the small bottles.
They're not going to stop people from buying little bottles at Walmart.
Yeah.
Just little bottles.
Right, but that's the thing. You then have to go to Walmart when you get, instead of just going to the hotel and,
getting the
going to sleep,
or a vending machine in the hotel that dispenses little tiny bottles of shampoo for a nominal fee.
You think they could get around it by selling the bottles as opposed to giving them away to the guests?
Either that, or it would be they would have a contract with the vending machine operator that would then operate within the hotel, because it wouldn't be the hotel providing the shampoo. It would be.
There's going to be a work. I see what you're saying.
There's going to be some sort of
work the way
around.
You think. Loopholes.
That's how it always goes, right?
Or will they just give you a larger bottle and stop changing it out every day? Because that's kind of annoying, right?
Because what if you're only there for a night? They have this, now they got a 5 to 10 ounce bottle of shampoo.
True, that's wasteful.
That they then have to waste because a new guest isn't going to use that same bottle of shampoo that you had.
Right.
That's even worse.
They could always fill them up behind the scenes.
That is kind of what we talked about at dinner.
Just don't tell anybody.
Oh, God. It's such a mess. Like, you're going to save the world with this. Right. See, what people are under the impression that the Pacific Garbage Patch, are you familiar with this, Ian?
Yes, I've heard about it, yeah.
So there's a bunch of plastic floating in the Pacific Ocean. They're under the impression that the United States is creating this.
It's Asia.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is not us. I would guess that the percentage of American plastic that is floating around the Pacific Ocean is in the single digits.
Now, have they analyzed the plastic and seen labels to where they know where
it's coming from? Mm-hmm. All you have to do is watch the videos of the the South Pacific Islands, where they just take dump trucks up to the side of the water and dump everything in.
There was a recent chart online that kind of showed by geographic area where the vast majority of the garbage in the ocean is coming from.
And it's not the United States.
It's not the United States.
And it's like Southeast Asia or something like that?
Asia in general, yeah. Like China, India, and then all the little coastal Asian countries.
And that's where it comes from. And we're getting all this stuff, right? Like you go to Starbucks in California, you get a paper straw in
sold
your
in a plastic bag
cup, and the carrier that they put it in is cardboard, but the bag they put the carrier in is plastic, right? None of this makes any sense. This is insanity created by politicians.
It's feel good stuff.
I hate paper straws. By the way,
it's symbolic.
Right, paper straws really aren't great.
They don't last very long, and then they start to like tear and rip in your drink, and
that's no fun.
If you want your drink for the whole day, and some people do.
Yeah.
They buy a big drink in the morning, and they want that drink for the whole day.
And I've refilled my cup and drank from the same straw throughout the day as well.
Right. So if you want that drink for the whole day, a paper straw is just going to slowly deteriorate throughout the first 2 hours, and then you don't have anything.
It doesn't last very long at all.
Let's go to Vernon. He's in New Orleans. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello.
So on the private industry side, there's an interesting article that the Wall Street Journal had a few months ago about how private hotels like Marriott and other hotel chains are actually looking at getting rid of these plastic bottles because of the cost that it puts on them, and they're suggesting that they put large bottles of shampoo and conditioner in the shower versus having those. And so you not only have the government trying to ban them, but you also have private industry trying to switch to the bulk model, that I'm sure we all use.
Well, wait. So the proposal from the industry people is to leave a large bottle in the bathroom?
But they're doing it for cost-effective reasons. They're saying
you're right. It'll be shared by over and over and over. So one guest will use the bottle, then another one, and it'll be the same.
Until some
bottle.
guest puts something in the bottle that isn't supposed to be there.
Well, they do it at a lot of other hotels, especially the 5-star places.
Do they really?
Done or.
Maybe they could do it like the hand soap dispenser in the shower.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I go to the gym, that's how they do it. They don't give me an individual.
But that's not fancy. I mean, that's if you're at a 5-star hotel. If you're at a 5-star hotel, you don't expect to share. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but the frou-frou people who would go to a 5-star hotel for the most part are not expecting to have a shared bottle or like a dispenser that just doesn't look fancy. It looks like you're in a prison shower.
Yeah. Or a gym shower.
Google Wall Street Journal bottles of shampoo.
I can't. Wall Street Journal blocks the hell out of their site.
I think the next thing we need is every hotel room needs like a used loofah hanging right there in the.
You mean the poof?
The poof? No, the long thing.
What is that?
I don't know. You can scrub yourself with it and stuff.
Like for your back?
Right. You can scrub yourself with it, and the next guy can scrub himself with it.
See you tomorrow. FreeTalkLive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealestate.com